Hi guys, it's Sharice, Bible Study with Sharice. This week I've been working on how to deal with conflict at work. Even if you're working or you're in school, you're always coming up with some type of conflict. Even if you're not working and you're at home and you're having to deal with trying to be patient and how to resolve things, this might help you guys, because it's going to help me, I hope, because I'm going to put this into play this week. On the My Bible app, it's by you version, I was looking up different plans that I could study that could help me with this. So the plan that I decided to follow for this week is called Conflict at Work. So the verse for today was in James chapter 1. The first verse I came across was James 1:19 through 21. It says, "Wherefore, my beloved brethren, let every man be swift to hear, slow to speak, slow to wrath, for the wrath of man worketh not the righteousness of God. Wherefore, lay apart all filthiness and superfluity of naughtiness, and receive with meekness an engrafted word which is able to save your souls." So that's a mouthful. So I started to, one thing I've learned in being a church and being a PK, pastor's kid, is that when somebody reads a verse, sometimes they exploit it and they use it for what suits them at the time. So one thing I learned from my dad was to read before and after to gain an understanding, like for the entirety of it. So that part sounded good. It's a little section, but how do I put it into action? So I decided to read the whole chapter, and the part that really caught me is verses 2 through 4 of James chapter 1. So it states, "My brethren, count it all joy when ye fall into divers temptations." Yeah, right. "Knowing this, that the trying of your faith worketh patience." That's for sure. That's accurate. "But let patience have her perfect work, that ye may be perfect and entire, wanting nothing." So that sounds great, to be entire and full and perfect and wanting for nothing, having patience, using your faith. But let's be serious. So of course I'm analytical, so I'm analyzing this. So I got being joyful in the wake of temptation, keeping my patience while my faith is being tried and tested, knowing that I'm being molded into perfection, wanting for nothing. So that's basically what I summarized from it. So it took a little deciphering, but in the end, it's easier said than done. So when going through life and experiencing serious devastation, tragedies, and travesties, having joy, being patient, and exhibiting faith is sometimes really cruel to ask for. But in this case, it's necessary. So I'm thinking, like when we lose a loved one, or somebody's experiencing a breakup or health crisis or anything like that, trying to ask them to have faith and have joy in the face of that is almost cruel, with them trying to face that. But us being people of faith and knowing God and having these tools like the Word, we have to still use these tools no matter what. So of course this is something I'll have to strive to do from now on, since I have an understanding. So we know the Word says, "In all thy getting an understanding." But we know that once you have an understanding, you're going to be held accountable to what you now know. So we know that temptation comes in various forms. Temptation can be you being quick to anger, having lust, being violent, having poor judgment and decision making, indulging, overeating, procrastination, secrecy, hate. All of that we face daily, and sometimes in large proportions more than others. So imagine not only smiling, but having true inner peace and happiness when facing those temptations. Imagine having faith and power to pass through these and still be patient. So I keep using the word patience, so let's put that into perspective. Patience is having the strength to suppress restlessness and annoyance when confronting provocation, irritation, misfortune, and pain without losing your temper, and having the capacity and willingness to endure. That's hard. Especially when you're facing pain and misfortune. Just enduring it and being willing to endure. So patience is a choice. So that's what that means right there. So breaking down, we're looking through the definition of it. Patience is a choice. So you have to be willing to have it and endure everything that you face. So that all sounds good and stoic, but realistically, let's be real. Are you serious? I would like to see true faith in action, and not just like with a 3-year-old toddler who's hungry and restless. You're like, calm down, here's a pacifier. No, I want to see true faith. I want to see true patience. So my mind starts wandering. Again, I'm analytical. That's just Sharice. So it started to make me think of sleepers. So sleepers in the sense of dealing with war, not like with being in bed all day. So sleepers are agents on a mission, hidden among the enemy, immersed in culture they don't believe in and are strongly against, but they wait for instruction or command and are eventually activated to do what they were sent to do or what they were called to do. Some are planted from a young age. Imagine being trained, molded, and taught certain beliefs that you have to hold on to for years. Going through the enemy's schools, making friends, co-workers, marrying, having your own children, and then suddenly, decades later, you have to awaken that origin and that belief and training to execute a mission to further a foggy cause implanted long ago. So there's a show on TV, and there's this girl, she marries this guy. They're both sleeper agents for Russia, and they're having children, making a life for themselves, but as kids they were trained and planted into the American culture, and they are working as spies. So that's what that made me think of, and that takes true faith and patience. So I'm writing my notes. Isn't that true silent suffering, true faith and stoic resiliency? In the face of that, isn't resisting temptation, having faith and joy so much easier? Saying no to a piece of cake, sex, choosing to complete an assignment, or facing consequences for a poor choice becomes a lot easier. Sometimes imagining an extreme circumstance can really put difficult things into perspective. Know that we only experience what we can conceive, and that there is a lot more going on than we realize. So this is actually doable. Perfection is a state or quality of being or becoming the highest degree of proficiency, skill, or excellence in some art. So being your best is perfect. Perfection is achievable. This permanent state leaves you wanting for nothing. Now that we have a roadmap, let's get it. So now the verse doesn't seem so impossible, thinking of people in those extreme circumstances, living under that pressure. Can't we every day just make that choice to say no? Can we make that choice to shut up, to be quiet, to just put up with it, endure, and learn from it? So I'm going to do that this week. I'm going to try to be stoic. I'm going to try to shut up. I'm going to try to be patient, and knowing that I'm building towards something, that it's not all for nothing, and that doing my best every day is perfect. Perfection is achievable. By definition, it's achievable. So this week, let's work on that. If we need to look back for some reference, James chapter 1 verses 2 through 4, kind of reading through that whole chapter. That's what we're going to do this week. That's what we're going to look back on. So any questions or comments, hit me up and let's get it.